right. Shalawam. Back out here again with another lesson. Prophesy against this wicked ass kingdom, against Esau eating the 2/3, and all these wicked ass nations. Back out here again with another lesson. I'm gonna go ahead and face the east real quick. I'm gonna give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. All prayers and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who brought out this truth many, many years ago, still to this day preaching this truth. I want to say shalom to all the true believers, the men and the women that's learning, teaching, and seeking the Lord out with all sincerity and due diligence. I want to say to you all shalom. We're back with another lesson real quick. And today's lesson pretty much about the 2/3 and, just an average person, or 2/3 and just America as a whole, just groping the noonday, groping in darkness. And when you look at that word darkness, it goes into ignorance, not understanding, not knowing. A lot of these 2/3 people, a lot of these people of America don't know who they are, what their purpose is, who to turn to, what to do with themselves, none of that shit, man. What inspired me to do this lesson was about, I watch a lot of podcasts, about athletes, and they go about their journeys about how they was in the spotlight, having everything, having the money, having the fame, having 100 things to do, but then when they retire, they don't know what to do with themselves because they're so used to getting all the attention, getting all the love, just doing what the hell they want. But when they retire, you hear all many stories about them trying to kill themselves. You hear all the stories about how they can't find themselves because they don't know what to do. They spent their whole life chasing that lifestyle of being an athlete, being an entertainer, being a boxer, being a UFC fighter. They spend their whole life investing and doing all these different things, but yet after all, when the spotlight is dumbed down, they have nothing else to turn to. They have drinking problems, they have drug problems. They can't sit down. They don't know when to retire. They want to get back in the ring after they retire, made a shit ton of money, get back in the ring after the age of 50, and just destroy themselves. And see, that's because they don't have that light, and they grope in the darkness, man. They don't know who the hell they are. They don't know who to turn to, what to do. And see, that's why the scriptures just say that the elect and us having this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is way more important than rubies, than riches, than gold, than money, than fortune, and fame. Because we not out here trying to chase that bag like that. We not. Oh shit. Salaki. We're not out here trying to chase that bag. We're not out here trying to have the biggest name in the world and all these different things, because we have that light. We are enlightened. We have that true understanding of what our purpose is and what we meant put on this earth to do. These rappers, entertainers, these 2/3 niggas, they don't know who the fuck to turn to. They cope with everything but the scriptures in Yahweh Shah. They cope with drugs. They cope with alcoholism, food, end up getting anxiety, all-time high depression, pharmaceutical pills, all these different things, man. So while when they go through their afflictions and they out of the spotlight, they don't know who to turn to. We turn to Yahweh Shah, right? When we going through our afflictions and we have our moments of, woe is me, we all in the flesh, so we all have those moments in time, moments of doubt, different things like that. We open up the book, man. We go to the scriptures, and that's why it's so important to have that light and be enlightened by the scriptures of Yahweh Shah. That's why it's important to have him, because without Yahweh Shah, man, and your ass is grass. You're going to be groping in darkness, groping at noonday. Right? And that's the first precept I got. Job chapter 5, verse 14. They find it is dark in the daytime, and they grope at noon as if it were night. And that noon is usually like the highest point of the day. Like pretty much like right now, the sun's beaming, skies is blue, it's beautiful, it's hot out. And that's similar, and that symbolizes we at the highest form of prophecy. These guys don't know what the fuck is truly going on because they so caught up in the ways of this world, caught up in themselves, caught up in everything but what's really going on. And that's why Jacob's trouble and the RFID microchip is gonna hit these dudes like a slap in the face. They're not gonna know what happened to them when this shit happens, right?
Wait till they fix that.
Right? So that's why, us having this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and being enlightened is the most important thing right now, because, we at the time where we about to have a food shortage, a water shortage, wars, rumors of wars, Iran still smacking America up, America telling Iran to open up the Strait Hamas, the Strait, and Iran fucking around with them, toying with them and shit. You know, the greatest country in the world getting their ass kicked by one country. Just wait till China, Russia, and Iran and all them intervene and, you know, team up against America, man. Right? No, these people have no idea what's going on. Truly ignorant. Now we at the book of John, chapter 8, verse 31 through 32, out of NLT. It says, Yahushua said it to the people who believed in him, "You are truly my disciples if you remain faithful to my teachings." And that word disciple, and it goes into discipline, because in the Latin, I think it said Latin language, it goes disciple and discipline both goes into the Latin word discipulus, if I'm saying it right. And it you know, and it all ties together, right? And it says that you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free, and that's the point. You know, we free from that spiritual bondage, that guilt. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these guys are still in mental spiritual bondage because of the simple fact that they don't have these scriptures, man. They don't possess that light. They don't possess this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They're groping at noonday as it is dark. They are ignorant to the fact about, you know, they're ignorant to the fact about what's truly going on, who to turn to, how to find themselves, what to do with themselves. You know, they cope, like I said, they coping with everything but the scriptures, and that's why us having this true knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and turning to Yahushua, having faith in Yahushua, makes us free. Free from sin. Not meaning we could do what the fuck we want, but we have a chance to get it right with our power. Right? We're not stacking sin on top of sin on top of sin. You know, we apply wisdom. You know, we thinking before we speak, thinking before we act. You know, we're not using this world. We use the world, but we're not living in the world, if that makes sense. Right? We're not doing everything everybody else do. Like I said, we're not chasing the bag, we're not chasing the fame, we're not chasing the fortune, chasing the subscribers. You know what I'm saying? We are chasing Yahushua. We're chasing our salvation. We're chasing that true freedom, which is salvation through Yahushua. That's the real true freedom, having this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because we're out of that matrix. We're not thinking like everybody else. We don't act like everybody else. We don't talk like everybody else. We stand out. We the black sheep of the world, man. You know? Everybody else walking past looking at us like we crazy or whatnot, but in our reality, we are the ones these people should be talking to. But that's why in the kingdom, we are going to be a light into the world. Because in the kingdom, the whole world is going to be enlightened once Yahushua come into power. Right? Let's continue. And it's here, like I said, if you're still in the spiritual bondage, if you're walking in darkness, if you're walking in ignorance. Now we at the book of John chapter 8, verse 12. Then Yahushua spoke again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Again, that's why it is important to turn to Yahushua, because Yahushua is that light, which goes into enlightenment, which goes into, you look at that word light, it's the light of truth, the light of instruction, the light of wisdom. And see, this truth of his knowledge, you know, power of understanding, and teaching us how to be righteous. Us having this light gives us order, gives us understanding of the world, how to conduct ourselves, who to turn to when you go into trouble. You know, what's going on, knowing not to panic every time you go into an affliction, having patience, being obedient. That all comes from being enlightened and having that true understanding through Yahushua. You know, we're not out here groping in noonday. Our minds is clear for the most part in a world that's full of darkness. We are the only thing that shines bright, which is the Lord's elect through Yahushua. Right? And Yahushua is truth. His laws and commandments is the truth, and nothing else above that. And while people think the laws is done away with, that's because they're walking in ignorance. They're groping at noonday. The truth, the laws is not done away with. You can't think that, you can turn up Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday you just be a good person just for one day of the week, and then be a demon the rest of the week. It don't work like that. You gotta put on that full armor, put on for the elect day in and day out, on camera and off camera. Right? Because anything outside of Yahushua leads to death, which that goes to Esau Edom. You know, because the Lord brings life. This world and Esau Edom and this spiritual wisdom and earthly wisdom leads to death, because it has no leg to stand on. You know? Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Yet also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. And who is that proud man? That's Esau, even the so-called white man. Neither keepeth at home. Why? Because he's in everybody else's country, stealing their resources, you know, putting sanctions and different laws on all these different countries, taking their resources, their gold, their oil, the uranium, the minerals, You know, trying to have different countries from having certain defense mechanisms. Like, that's why they in Iran. They don't want Iran to have nuclear power, nuclear weapons, because they know Iran gonna tear Israel ass up, because Israel is a bully. America's a puppet, but Israel got his hand up America's ass, and America's doing everything. And America is doing everything that Israel asked him to do. Like I said, I remember sometime last year, Netanyahu, right before 2026, a few months before 2026, Netanyahu said that America's children would live and die for Israel, and that's what's going on right now. You know, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to ramp up. Who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death, that's Esau Edom, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth him all nations and heapeth to him all people. He's greedy, you know, he's a liar, he's a deceiver, ultimate deceiver, all of that, man. You know, Esau is used to controlling how we see ourselves, how we think, how we act, right? But now that we are enlightened, we have this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, we have that light. We don't need Esau no more. You know what I'm saying? We're not using him no more. We know who we are. We know who to turn to. We know what to do when we're going through our afflictions. We know how to deal with the darkness of this world. We know how to deal with the 2/3. We know how to deal with our enemies. We got to blend in. We can't be like everybody else. We're not like them, and they're not like us, right? Because everybody else try to fit in and, you know, try to do everything everybody else do. Most of our people, 90% of our people are sheeple, right? They want to follow the crowd, want to do everything everybody else doing, follow the latest trends, all these different things. But like I said, we not doing that, man. We following the latest trend, as in being with Yahweh Yahushua and searching, not searching, but trying to receive this salvation. We are the hopeful elect. We are prisoners of hope through Yahushua, right? So again, Esau is used to us, used to controlling us of how we think and how we see it, how we view ourselves, man. Like I said, us having that light, we're not groping at noonday no more like the rest of this world, right? And that's Esau, man. You know, he uses his social media, he uses his laws, his influence to destroy the whole earth, which leads to nothing but death. His food, his water, his medicine, you know, his history, his teachings, his lies and philosophies, all of that is used to destroy the earth, and which leads to nothing but death, because earthly wisdom is not of Yahweh Yahushua. Earthly wisdom ain't shit compared to what Yahushua is bringing out, right? 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But you are not like that. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. See, we don't view ourselves as just being niggers, as monkeys, as being colored, as just being an athlete, an entertainer. What did Biggie say? Either you sling a crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. That's the only way out that these people is giving us. Selling drugs, being on the streets, being thugs, being entertainers, being social media influencers. And that's Esau, man. He controls everything. He controls the rap industry, the music industry. He controls what gets put in what foods get put out. He controls what gets put on the TV. He controls all of that, man. Right? You know, Esau is the type of motherfucker, yeah, I'll give you this money, but you got to sacrifice something for me. Like, before we came into the truth, we wanted to be the athlete. I know I wanted to play football. I ran track. I was fast as hell, athletic, still kind of fast. Ran 100 meter, 200 meter. Played safety and corner in high school from 3rd grade all the way to 12th grade. You know, I wanted to play football, but that wasn't my calling. I remember I went to this, me and my brother at one time, we went to this school. Well, he was older than me, but he was getting signed up for college, and I was just going there getting a little bit of experience. And I remember the lady asked me, what you want to do? I told this bitch, I said I want to play football. And she just started laughing. And I mean, now I see why she was laughing. At first I was pissed, like, damn, bitch, you know what I'm saying? But I was ignorant. I was groping at noonday, you know? I didn't know my purpose for real. I was just being just a 2/3 nigga, just dumb, you know? But like I said, but now that we have this light, we are enlightened, we have that true understanding, we understand that we are not like that. But this is what the Lord said, we are a chosen people. We understand that we are high priests. We're going to be joint heirs with Yahushua, right? We are kings, we are gods in low form. We angels, man, right? You are a royal priest, a holy nation, God's very own possession. As a result, you can show others the goodness of God, for he called you out of darkness into his wonderful light, right? He called us out of from us not understanding to us having that true understanding. Like I said, that's why we're way more valuable than the athletes and entertainers, because we have that light, we have that true understanding. We are enlightened by the scriptures of Yahweh Yahushua, right? We're not out here walking like zombies. We're not out here being spiritually dead, spiritually discerned, not recognizing who we are, who to turn to, who our true power is, what our purpose is, what we meant here to put on this earth to do. We put on this earth to teach and serve Yahweh Yahushua. Like I said, we prisoners of hope, right? He made his body live a sacrifice, so we know that we got to come out here and make our body live a sacrifice, right? They don't recognize the promise. They don't recognize where they come from. They don't recognize the truth, let alone they don't even recognize who the enemy is. So that's why you see a lot of the 2/3 clinging onto, clinging onto their master. These are even so-called white men, right? They're clinging onto the things of this world, clinging onto themselves, clinging on and coping with drugs, alcoholism, all these different things that has nothing to do with the Yahweh, all these different things that's set up to destroy you. Esau used, like I said, his social media influence, all these different things, right? 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit of Yahweh. See, so the natural man, they can't receive us speaking about us having slaves in the kingdom. Us, the UFOs being the chariots of the Lord, us being angels, us being the power, us ruling the whole earth. So when we speak of these things, that the Lord is a so-called black man, when we speak of these things, they can't discern it because they're spiritually dead. They're spiritually discerned. They can't recognize it because they're groping at noonday. They're in darkness. They're walking in ignorance. It says, for us again, it said, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14, KJV, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit of Yahweh, but they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them because they are spiritually discerned. And like I said, when you look up that word discern, it's unrecognized, if I'm saying that right. So like I said, they can't recognize the promise. They don't know the laws, the statutes, and commandments. They don't know our Lord. They don't know who they are. They still calling themselves African American, Puerto Rican, Mexican, all these different things. They're still walking in the ways of this world, like I said, walking in darkness and in ignorance. And because we have no order, like I said, we didn't have nowhere to turn to ourselves before we came into this truth, right? Right? So when you turn to Yahushua, you are literally saving your life, man, because Yahushua promotes nothing but life. Because coming with him, you have that everlasting salvation, and death will be put away. Esau, he could be considered death and literal death too, right? Because we're going to be immortal. We're going to have those new bodies. When Yahushua comes and brings on that new covenant, we're going to have a new heart, new spirit, a new mind, new bodies, a new way of thinking. We're going to be thinking 100% more like him and being like him better than what we are now. Right now, we can't live up to 100% of his expectations because of the fact that we're in the flesh. Right now, we're doing our best to be obedient and follow the laws and the commandments to the best of our abilities. But we fall short a lot of times because, like I said, we're in the flesh. But we always pick ourselves back up because we have this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We don't have to cope with drugs and alcoholism and the ways of this world, and we don't have to cope with not being in the spotlight. A lot of these guys still got that main character syndrome. That's why a lot of these guys are coming out with podcasts, selling merchandise, action figures, coming in on horses, and the super fly outfits, trying to be seen, having the big giant microphones. They get their glory from the churches. They get their glory from the riches. They get their glory from this earth. We're not going to receive our glory till we get into the kingdom. That's where the true glory is at. Not here on this earth. Because all these guys, all these rappers and entertainers are still puppets as well. They puppets to America in the small hats, right? They don't control They don't control themselves. That's why they sign NIL deals. Esau gets to tell them what they get to wear, what kind of character they get to be when they're rapping and singing. Like, if you look at a lot of these people, like Sexy Red, she's a decent looking woman, truthfully. But Esau got her all tatted up, red hair, shaking her ass every time she turn around and do all these different things, talking and rapping crazy. That's how Esau got these people. They're characters, man. They're puppets. Even these football players, they play it. Football is a fashion show now. Football used to be a physical sport. I remember when Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Brian Urlacher, Ronnie Lott, Jack Tatum, Javon Curse, Reggie White, Warren Sapp, all these strong defensive players, Lawrence Taylor, to knock your fucking head off, knock their chin straps off. Now you try to hit them, and you know, football's damn near two-hand touch or flag football. You can't hit the receivers, can't truly hit the quarterbacks. They call it roughing the passer. You know, they play with grills and chains on and shit like that, man. It's a fucking fast show. Odell Beckham played football with a fucking watch on, man. It's a fashion show now. Everything is weaker. Everything is different. Everything is all about being seen or being heard and all these different things. Man, they're paying the college football players now. College football guys don't play with a passion no more. They get those NIL deals, $10 million, giving 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds $10 million contracts to let their image be controlled by the NCAA of how to be, how to carry themselves, how to conduct themselves. They groping in noonday and like it's night at darkness, man. Right? So they like I said, they're spiritually discerned. So let's read that same scripture again, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14, out of NLT this time, and it says, but people who aren't spiritual can't receive the truth from God's Spirit. So again, they can't receive this truth, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It all sounds foolish to them, and they can't understand it, for only those who are spiritual can understand what the Spirit means. See, like I said, they can't understand the things that we speak of. They can't understand that the true name of the Lord is Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, that the true name of God is Yahweh. You know, it's no other name outside of that. Not Yahweh, not Yeshua, not Jehovah, not Jesus Christ, not Virgin Mary. Not none of these different names has nothing to do with the true powers in the names of our Lord, man. Right? They're not aware of Yahweh Shai. They're not aware of the truth. They're not even aware who the fuck they are. See? Like I said, they're groping their new day. They're walking in ignorance. They're literally walking dead. Just doing what the fuck they want, believing into what they believe in. And the Lord don't want to wake them up. He has them blind. He has the ear covers. That veil is covered over their head, man. Because of the simple fact that the Lord don't want to wake them up. They like it just like reincarnation. The same ones who was rejecting Yahweh Shai back in the day are the same ones who crucified and rejected him now. And the same ones who's out here preaching on these corners, preaching 100% truth, are the same men who was preaching and following Yahweh Shai back in the day. Right? So, with all that being said, man, you come back as you were back in the day through reincarnation. And reincarnation is through faith. It's plenty of precepts to prove. I was talking to a guy yesterday about it. He didn't want to believe through reincarnation. He think we only, you know what I'm saying? It didn't matter. He just was off, but you'll have to find out. But we all been here before, man. This ain't our first time being on this earth. The scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun. Aren't we under the sun? Isn't this earth under the sun? It's all been done before, just different civilizations. Right? So let's continue. Psalms chapter 43, verse 3 out of NLT. Send out your light and your truth. Let them guide me. Let them lead me to your holy mountain, to the place where you live. And like I said, you know, that word light is to be enlightened, is to have that true understanding. So now that we have the understanding, we can follow that straight gate, that true path that the Lord has set for us. You know, we're not following that highway to hell, that broad way to hell. I remember, like I said this before, as a kid, they used to say like, oh, would you go to hell? I remember shit like elementary school, middle school, would you go to hell? I used to say, yeah, if my friends go there, I'll go there with them. Just being ignorant, not knowing. And that's what the 2/3 are, man. They all walking on that highway to hell, not knowing. You know, and the Lord is giving them up to their own heart's desires. They desire the things of this world, so the Lord is giving them this world. Right? Whatever your heart desires, the Lord is giving you up to that. And that same thing that you desiring is going to destroy you and put you to death and give you a harsh judgment. That's why the 2/3 is going to come into the kingdom through death by pain. They don't know what path to follow. And that's why, going back to that word disciple, John 8 and 31 and 32, disciple, like I said, goes into discipline. With the Latin, both of the words goes into dispulus, if I'm saying that right. And it takes discipline to fast. It takes discipline to read every day and consistently fast. It takes discipline to constantly come out here and teach every week. It takes discipline to do a lesson every day. It takes discipline to constantly pray every day. It takes discipline to consistently pray, fast, and follow the Lord, man. It takes discipline. And a lot of these 2/3 niggas lack that. It takes discipline to follow that path. Even when you get knocked off, even when you fall short, even when you have a down moment. You got to pick right back up and get back on that path, man. Because, you know, and that's why it's important to have that light, because we know what's on the other side. These people in this world, these 2/3 can't see past their nose, man. because all they think is this place. They think this place is gonna be here forever. They think America is the greatest country in the world. You know, they think America is gonna last forever and never fall. But the Roman Empire fell. Every empire before America had the Syrian Empire, Babylonian Empire. It's just all Egyptian Empire. All that failed and got put down, man. So what makes y'all think that America, which is modern day Egypt, modern day Babylon, what makes you think that this place won't fall? Ancient Roman revival. What makes you think this place is falling slowly, more and more each day? Right? It's literally like a drain circle going down the drain when you're taking a bath and pull that plug. That's what it's like, man. You know? I hope this nigga don't break his ugly ass over talking to me. So let's continue. Again, Psalms 43:3, it says, "Send out your light and your truth. Let them guide me. Let them lead me to the holy mountain." What's that holy mountain? That's the what's the holy mountain? I had a brain fart. The holy mountain is the kingdom of heaven, man. It's that everlasting salvation. The place where you live. And see, that's, you know, Yahushua showing us the way, how to be a man, how to have structure, how to have order, how to conduct ourselves, who to pray to, who to fast, how to fast, all these different things. So having that true light allows us not to be groping at noonday and to be aware of these prophecies, having that healthy fear of the Lord. All right? Because, and that's a lot of these guys, they don't have that true fear of the Lord, man. They don't. And that's why they out here teaching and saying whatever they want, doing whatever they want. You know? You know? So, and that's what this light is. It's marking the way for you to follow that path, and that's that straight gate. Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 through 14 LT. You can enter Yahweh's kingdom only through the narrow gate. The highway to hell is broad, and its gate is wide for the many to choose that way. But the gateway to life is very narrow, and the road is difficult, and only a few will ever find it. See, so only a few will ever find it, man. Only a few will ever find this light. That's why us having this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, it's a blessing, man. It's mercy from the Lord. You know? Because everybody's not going to be able to find themselves. Everybody is not going to be able to come out of that groping in darkness, man. Everybody not going to be able to understand these scriptures and come into this light. For one of the two, they weren't chosen. They're not welcome. For two, they just lack complete understanding. They just complete demons, complete zombies out here, man. Right? So in order to get to the kingdom, you got to go through that straight and narrow gate. And with that path being difficult and hard, we able to discern that hard and difficult path with these scriptures. Like I said, these rappers and entertainers and these athletes, they lose themselves after the simple fact of they don't know what else to do after they get done fighting, after they get done playing football. That's why you see so many of these athletes and entertainers crashing out after they out of the spotlight. They don't know what to do with themselves. They've been in the spotlight so goddamn long, received all the power so damn long, doing what they want for so damn long that when they finally out of it, they lose themselves because they're trying to find themselves. Now they got to battle them true demons. See, a lot of the people used to use football, MMA, boxing, being in the octagon, being around all those people as a scapegoat. They used to escape their demons by going out there and putting them lives on the line, boxing. That's why a lot of them would say, I would die in the ring. And what's that scripture, roughly paraphrasing? What's a man gaining the ways of this world if he loses his own soul, roughly paraphrasing? I feel, let's not butcher it. Let's find that. Am I typing this shit in? Right here. Mark chapter 8, verse 36. It says, Mark chapter 8, verse 36, it says, for what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? So what's the point of gaining all these different things, man, when you're still a slave? It doesn't matter. You're still a slave to the world. You're still a slave to Esau. You're still a slave to the small hats. Because they run every damn thing. So you can have all the money in the world and still be a slave. Still not finding yourself, because at the end of the day, when you gain all this wealth, you gain all these riches, you gain all this popularity, this high status, this power, you still losing your own soul. You're losing yourself. And that's why, again, these rappers and entertainers, after they, you know, retire, and all these different things, and they out of the spotlight. They literally can't find themselves. They don't know who to turn to. They don't know what to do with themselves. Like my boy Dustin Poirier. You know, he was a mockery, you know, for what he said in the airport because he got drunk on a plane, kicked him off the plane. It's gonna be bad, my niggas. Which I think Dustin Poirier is, I think he a Jake through the spirit, just how he acts and how he carries himself. Just watching him on camera when he's throughout his UFC career. Great fighter too, but he even said it himself. He said if he's not fighting, you know, he's a demon into it. He's a monster unto himself because he doesn't know himself. He can't find himself. Why? Because he's broken at noonday, as it is night. He doesn't possess that light. He doesn't possess that true understanding of who he really is. Right? Let's go back. Now we got Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. And it says, "My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation." When we look at that word temptation goes in a trial. It goes in a test, because when you come and serve the Lord, you come in this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. When you brought it to this truth, you chosen to be in this truth, you got to go through these hard times. You got to go through trials and tribulations. You're going to be tested. That's the true test, you know. And the real true test is that R50 microchip is presented to the whole earth. You're either going to choose life, which is Yahweh, or you're going to choose that mark and choose death, man. Because choosing that mark is going to lead to nothing but death, right? Yeah, while Yahweh, his way leads to life, choosing that mark is going to lead to death, man. Right? So, again, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. It says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. So have patience. You know, if you're going through your afflictions and it's continuing is going on, hey, go harder for the Lord. Read more, study more, fast more, pray more, fear more, whatever it takes, man. Right? Set thy heart aright and constantly endure. Keep enduring. Don't give up. Prepare. It says, and make not haste in time of trouble. Have patience. Don't give up just because time is getting hard. Right? You got to have faith. You got to keep fighting. This is a spiritual warfare. Right? Cleave unto him and depart not away. That's what I'm saying. Get closer to the Lord. Do more work. Pray more. Fast more. Read more. All these different things. Do more work, man. Right? Fear more. Whatever it takes. Cleave unto him even more and depart not away, but thou mayest be increased at the day's end. Because you only gonna get that reward at the end as long as you continuously doing what you're doing and not give up. Don't give up that hope, man. Don't give up that faith. You got to keep fighting, right? Because we have that knowledge, wisdom, understanding, so we know what we got to do, right? Verse 4, it said, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low state. So when you at a low state, man, you got to be patient, man. You can't give up every time things get hard, right? You still got to keep fighting. So like I said, it's a spiritual warfare. Every day you got to keep fighting, dog. And anytime when shit gets hard, you go to your test, you go to your affliction, and you go through that shit, and you take it cheerfully, you take it on the chin, and you get up and keep fighting, yo. Period. Whatsoever is brought upon, take cheerfully and be patient without our change to a low state. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable man in the furnace of adversity. So just like how gold is purified through the fire, that's the same thing. When we're going through our trials and tribulations, we come out purified on the other side. When we go through this fire and go through these trials and these test runs, hey, once we pass that test, which is receiving that crown, hey, we come out as gold on the other side, man. Right? So the Lord is going to try us, man. We got to be battle tested. The Lord not looking for the most athletic, who has the most followers, who has the biggest podcast, who can sell the most merchandise. The Lord is not looking for the most strongest man with the muscles, who can run the fastest, who can play the longest in the NFL, who can rap the best. The Lord is not looking for none of that. It's all about your faith. When the Lord strips you from everything, when he takes your riches away, your family away, your children away, just like he did with Job. When he takes all these different things away from you, you know what I'm saying? Are you going to still follow me? Are you still going to have faith in me? When I put this curse, when I put this disease on you, are you still going to have faith in me? Or are you going to fall out and give up? It's a song Keith Sweat used to sing, how deep is your love? Hey, that's what Yahweh Shai is about. How deep is your faith, man? Are you going to keep enduring when I take everything away from you? Are you still going to love me? Are you still going to have faith? Are you still going to praise my name? Don't just praise me when things going good. And when I take things away from you, are you still going to praise me? That's why you got to thank the Lord for the good days and the bad days. You know, when it rains, it pours, but eventually the sun is going to come out again, man. Sometimes you go weeks and days with sun. So You're going to go weeks and days, plenty of good times, being in a good mood. But then eventually it's going to rain and hard times going to come. But you can't give up, man. You got to keep fighting in the spirit. Like I said, it's a spiritual warfare. You know, that's why, you know, the demons playing on your mind, Esau playing on your mind with his social media, with his people, with his history, with his lies and philosophy, with his bullshit-ass laws. All these different things is playing on your mental. The food, the water, everything this man puts out plays on your mental, plays on your spirit. And that's why it's a spiritual warfare. That's why you got to put on that whole armor through your Yahweh shot. You got to you got to be battle tested, man. Period. 2nd Esdras chapter 8, verse 62. It says, these things have I not showed unto all men, but unto thee and a few like thee. Then he answered and I said, but the main point that the Lord didn't show this to all men. All men wasn't chosen to have the true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It said, but unto thee and a few like thee. So only a select few of us was only to have this light and this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Right? Not all of us was able to receive this true light and this true understanding to be enlightened. A lot of people were set up to be groping in noonday, walking in ignorance, being the walking dead. Lord don't want to wake them up. But that's why Esau Edom, that's why the 2/3, they're going to receive the kingdom through death by pain. All right? So again, Job 5:14, they shall find that it's dark at daytime and they shall grope at noonday as if it were night. And that's the 2/3, man. They trying to find that path. But the thing is, they don't have that light. And their path leads to destruction. You know, and they don't even know it. Confused and lost because they stuck on this Babylon juice. They drinking that cup. Right? So us, we have that light. We can discern through the bullshit. We can discern of what somebody is teaching, who's right and who's wrong. We can discern through who our true power is and who we are. Right? We can be like athletes too, having that light. You know, we can jump them hurdles, hit a spin move, hit a stiff arm on the trials and tribulations, on all these different things that come at us because we have that light. We know what's on the other side. You know, we're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna go all the way till we get that touchdown, man, which that kingdom. Right? Hopefully that made sense. I don't know why I said that, but I mean hey man, but hey, the fact that we have that light, we can jump over them hurdles. We know how to deal with them hurdles. We know how to, you know what I'm saying, like I said, hit that spin move, hit that stiff arm, man. We know what to do. The 2/3, they can't. They're gonna fall right into that trap, which is America. Right into that pit. And if truthfully, they're gonna fall into that lake of fire, man. They ain't gonna get their ass destroyed. Right here, Psalms chapter 28, verse 28 to 29, KJV. The Adonai Yahweh shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind grope in the darkness. See that? And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt only be oppressed and spoiled even more, and no man shall save thee. That was the Deuteronomy 28, part of us being cursed as a whole nation. And that's truly what it is. But the test is, who's gonna give themselves a chance, man? Who's gonna turn back and repent to Yahweh Shah? Who's gonna come out of that darkness? Who's gonna stay fighting when the times get tough? Right? That's the true test. What you gonna choose? The truth, again, another true test is that RFID microchip, the mark of the beast. You gonna choose life, which is Yahweh Shah, or you gonna choose death, which is that mark? Which one you gonna choose, man? Because all of that, you know, anything outside of Yahweh Shah is gonna lead to death, man. It's not gonna save you. Right? So that's what the 2/3 is going through now. You know, we still curse as a people too, but the fact that we have that true knowledge, wisdom, understanding, that light, we are enlightened. We able to, like I said, able to maneuver around it. We able to have a clear mind. We have that clarity amongst confusion, amid confusion. Right? That's what I'm gonna call this probably, a clarity amid confusion part 2. You know, we are enlightened. We have that true understanding, man. We're not dependent on Esau for shit. We're not going to Esau for nothing, man. Right? We going to Yahweh Shah. Last precept of the day, Psalm chapter 73, verse 23 to 25. I was so foolish and ignorant. That was us before we came into this truth. I must have seemed like a senseless animal to you, and that's what the 2/3. They walk around this bitch, the Walking Dead. Walk around this bitch like the Walking Dead. They like senseless animals, just doing whatever the hell they want, walking around like brute beasts. Yet I still belong to you. You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, leading me to a glorious destiny, which is that everlasting salvation. Whom Whom I have in heaven but you. See? Who else do we have in heaven but Yahweh Shai? I desire you more than anything on earth. And that's the difference between the elect and the 2/3 and the elect and the rest of everybody else in this world, man. We don't have nobody else but Yahweh Shai. We understand that. Where everybody else seem to believe in things of this world, trust in Esau, his lies and philosophies, and his social media, his influence, trust in everything this man puts out. We know that we have Yahweh Shai. He's holding our right hand, man. He's guiding us to that path because we have faith. We trust in him. We're not trusting in the things of this world. We're not trusting in man. We're trusting in Yahweh Shai. We're trusting in that light that the Lord gave us, this true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's what we trusting in, man. So that was it. Just wanted to bring that out. I truly hope this lesson was edifying. Want to hear it? Sit up here and face the east. Want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Again, all praise and honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Amen. Walk in that light. Choose Yahweh Shai or die. Simple as that. So again, I truly hope this lesson was edifying to the grace of the Lord. Again, I want to give praise and honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who brought us the truth many years ago, still to this day, preaching this truth. Again, truly hope this lesson was edifying. Shalom.